Welcome everyone to another episode of Around the Horn. I'm your host Claudia Chakamian, joined by Tobey and Sam Corman. We're officially halfway through this Cape Cod Baseball League season. So Sam, what are your thoughts so far on this first half?
Well, I think the fact that they're sitting around 500 in the standings right now, I think that speaks volumes for how the season's gone so far. They got off to a pretty rocky start. They just couldn't really string wins together, and that was a big issue. They still have not really gotten that big streak yet, but it's been pretty impressive so far in the last week or so. The bottom of the order is really stepping up in getting some clutch hits, and I've seen a lot of improvement in general from the pitching staff, especially from the bullpen pitchers. Throughout the season, pitching coach Jim Lawler's done a really good job with some of these guys, especially some of the temporary contract guys, and making them a lot better pitchers already so far this year.
Yeah, it's interesting to see some of things affecting this team, like rain delays or rain cancellations rather, and how they come back after those games. They also have scored double-digit runs 3 times this season. They've scored 10 runs once, 11 runs once, and 13 runs once. So the offense they're putting up great performances, but at the same time, they're not kind of staggering that run support out to each and every game because of the pitchers they're facing and whatnot. But we saw 13 runs versus Bourne, we saw 11 runs versus Katuitt at Lowell Park in Katuitt. So the offense is finding their stride. It's just not every single night, giving instead of 11 runs, giving 5 runs. But they're starting to form, and the lineup for sure is getting formed.
And especially against Bourne, and in more recent games, they've been swinging more at first pitches and earlier in the count, and that's really improved them a lot. I mean, earlier in the season, they were kind of just waiting. They were getting in holes 1-2, 0-2, 0-1, and then they were deciding what pitches to swing at. However, more recently, they've been jumping out in front of the pitches. They've been getting ahead, and they've been kind of forcing the pitchers to throw. They're taking advantage of first pitch fastballs, and they're kind of just whacking them opposite field and through the infield, wherever. And that's been probably the biggest difference I've noticed in the past week.
Yeah, and I've noticed that the lineup, it's not just, the top of the order. Don Stenon's having a really good time getting the players throughout the entire lineup hitting, and they're getting production from everyone. And do you think that's a big reason why the offense is clicking?
Yeah, I love Jarren Duran down at the 8th spot. I think he's 6 for 14 since batting in the lower third of the lineup so far. So, he's done a great job down there, starting off as a leadoff guy when he first got here out of Long Beach State. The beaches, they call it. You like to point out.
The dirtbags.
The dirtbags, yeah, exactly. But no, I love him at the bottom of the lineup. He's solidified, everything with speed, with getting on base. That is his game, and it's great to have Stephen Kwan at the top because it's kind of like a double whammy almost, because Kwan and Duran are similar players in a way. So it's great to have your 1-hitter up there, and then your 8-hitter also being like a 1-hitter.
And also John Topa at the bottom of the order. He's been there all season, around the 7 or 6 hole, and since he's been moving to the 7 hole, he's just gotten that much better. And as of July 7th, he had 25 hits this season, which is one of the tops in the CCBL. And of those 25 hits, 17 of them have been on ground balls through the infield. So just finding those holes in the infield, similar to how Stephen Kwan gets a lot of his production, and he's just so good at that. And Topa's batting average, among the leaders in the CCBL so far. That's the reason why he's just so able to, aim where he wants to hit, basically choose where he wants to put the ball, and that's just a great trait of any good player.
Yeah, I was talking to Sam actually off camera before we were starting to tape this about how Topa is similar to Cole Freeman, and how Cole Freeman won the batting title here last summer for the Wareham Gatemen. He had a lot of infield singles, ran out a lot of singles, didn't really slap the ball with power that much, hit a lot of bloop singles out into the outfield. John Topa is doing the same thing. We have not seen a lot of power from him this season so far, but he's kind of like Cole Freeman in that he can just find his way on base, beating out a ground ball to the other side of the infield, and he's doing that.
And he might not have a ton of RBIs, but his runs scored really shows how productive he's been. I think that stat is just overlooked a little bit. It just shows your ability to get on base, not only to get on base, but to have the guys get you around, and he's a very aware base runner, and that helps the Gateman bottom of the order.
And he doesn't necessarily need to drive in the runs because he has Willie MacIver at that 4 spot doing that. He did have 4 RBIs versus Bourne. We saw him go 4 for 5 in that game. He was great at Spillane Field, but he doesn't necessarily have to drive in the runs every single time. That was just a plus for him. It's really getting on base and then having the top of the order bring him back in.
Yeah, like you guys were saying, getting those singles, it's not just about, especially Coach Stennon, I've talked to him about, not just just getting those home runs. It's about getting those hits, those timely hits, and getting them into those hits into the end.
And also, Spillane Field is probably the hardest field. The hardest field to hit extra base hits in because the grass is so high. You saw in Bourne the other day, Jarren Duran hit a triple into the gap. That ball probably would have stopped very short of the wall, and probably would have been a double at the most for Jarren Duran at Spillane Field. But taking advantage of the dimensions of the other fields, I guess, was Duran.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to see a lot of home runs hit at Spillane Field this season. We saw Colton Shaver with 9 last year lead the league in home runs, but I don't think there's a lot of home run hitters on this team. I mean, I could see MacIver going there, but at the same time, when Tristan Pompey, the way he's been playing right now, which you're seeing the growing pains, you're seeing the way he's struggling, coming from being a home run hitter, 10 at Kentucky, and being in the home run derby, to now, striking out 2-3 times a game right now. And talk to Don Sten about it. He's really trying to find his swing. He's kind of lost it, swinging at a lot of pitches, breaking balls away that have not been close at all. So, the home runs probably won't come this season.
And maybe what Pompey needs is to be put in the outfield a little bit, get him more involved in the game and get him in center field. And once he kind of is in center field, he's more involved in the game, and then he's just, he's in the zone, I guess. When you're DHing, you're just kind of coming up there once every few innings and just
trying to hack
away.
The ball.
Yeah. When you're in center field, in between, you're more in zone with the game. You're kind of just more in tune. Maybe that will help him a little bit.
Yeah. The thing is, the rotation for the outfield is just so stacked right now. I mean, with Toba playing as well as he is in left, we saw him going right once, I believe, versus Katuitt, I believe. But you're not going to take him out of lineup right now with the way he's swinging the bat, the way Quan's swinging the bat right now. Bonfield, I could see Pompey maybe going into right field for Bonfield in a switch, but I wouldn't take Quan out of center field right now.
And a guy like Quan and a guy like Pompey, they can probably play anywhere in the outfield. Same with Topa.
Yeah.
Topa's shown that he can play in right as well in a few instances this season. So I think that you can basically just swap these guys around wherever you want. That's the great thing if you're Coach Ned.
And don't be surprised. Yeah, and don't be surprised if you see Pompey play some first base. Was talking to head coach Don Sten. He's saying he might have a future, at the next level at first base because of his height. He's not he's not the fastest guy on the team right now. So, but he can still, obviously, he played the outfield. He led off for Kentucky, starting in center field, so he can play at the college level. But Don Sten maybe thinks there's a little something else at first base.
Yeah, and that's possible. So we've seen the hitting get much better throughout the past week or so, but the pitching is still very strong. So what have you seen Coach Lawler been doing with these pitchers to get them to continue to improve?
Well, I'm going to start with Peyton Culbertson, and I think that when the season started, Culbertson, he wasn't getting both those off-speed pitches of his to really work that well. And now in his more recent outings, he's gotten both his slider and his curveball to work, depending on the side of the hitter. Change up as well, and then he has the fourth pitch, the fastball, and that when you have that 4-pitch mix working well for you, it's just such a weapon for a pitcher. And Peyton Culbertson out of Arkansas State has really emerged to be one of the best pitchers on this team. But we know his time is running out shortly.
Yeah, his time is running out, but I like what I saw out of Brett Canine his last time versus Bourne. He struggles in that tough loss to Falmouth in his first outing, giving up the 2-run lead they had in that 9th inning. Comes in, strikes out 3 straight batters versus Bourne on July 4th. That's a great confidence booster for him. I know he's used to playing in the Cape League, and he doesn't need that much of a confidence booster, but when you come in and make your appearance, your debut, and you struggle that badly and the team loses, I think it was a good sign for him to strike out 3 batters because that's what he does best. And they were quick at bats too. You saw we were up in the booth. I mean, he just fastball pounding the outside zone time and time again. So that's what he does. I liked what I saw out of him. And no, the bullpen, like you said, it's gonna come to form here. We saw Dalton Roach make his debut. Jordan Britton made his debut as well out of Oregon State, so now guys are coming in here starting to form. And
you can't leave out Noah Zavalis, of course. He's been one of probably the best guy in general out of the bullpen so far. I mean, out of Harvard, he's just been unbelievable. He just throws strike after strike. He's a strike machine, but not only is he a strike machine, he's able to, command where he wants to locate and away from the hitters. And with that, he's not just kind of leaving balls out over the plate. And that's what we've seen opposing pitchers been doing to the Gatemen hitters. They kind of just been leaving fastballs on first pitches right out of the plate, and recently they've been swinging away and taking advantage. And Noah Zavalis has been doing just the opposite, kind of locating away and maybe jamming the hitter inside as well. And when he does that, he's been very successful, and I think he'll continue to be successful for the Gatemen.
Yeah, I think he has a little chip on his shoulder too because he comes in as a temp guy coming from Harvard. He's a local guy. He's from Massachusetts. he wants to make this full-time roster. He has done that, and he's pitched exceptionally well. One of the better guys out of the bullpen. He's had that chip on his shoulder, and it's helped him so far this season.
Yeah, I like what I've seen from the starters, too. Miller Hogan, almost the same exact line in his past 2 starts, 6 strikeouts. He's been phenomenal his past 2 times. And Justin Montgomery, once again,
yeah,
so good.
You can only say so much about the pitchers, but Montgomery has been probably the best pitcher so far for Wareham. His ERA is still at 0,
yeah.
So he's just been great.
You could definitely say Justin Montgomery has been the MVP of the or the Cy Young of the CCBL so far, with a 0 ERA in multiple starts, and he's a 3-0 record. He's one of just 2 pitchers to have a 3-0 record, and he's just been unreal. And the other guy you just mentioned, Miller Hogan, how about that? He started the season like pretty poorly, and the way he just responded and kind of came back and commanded his breaking ball. And that breaking ball was fooling hitters in these last 2 outings of his, just fooling them utterly. And with that, I think Miller Hogan has emerged as maybe the number 2 or the number 3 guy on this starting rotation.
And don't forget, Montgomery won Coca-Cola Pitcher of the Week for the league, for the Cape League. So he's getting some recognition from not just the Wareham Gatemen, but from the whole league. And I wouldn't be surprised if he maybe gets an All-Star bid. Maybe depends.
I could see that. So everything seems to be clicking for this team as of right now. So now we want to send it over to our beat writer, Matt Feld, for Feld at the Field.
Thank you, guys. I'm Matt Feld. I'm joined by a pair of Washington Huskies making their name out here playing for the Gatemen. Shortstop Ben Baird, catcher and third baseman Willie MacIver. And just as we did last week, we're going to have a little fun with these two, play some Would You Rather. So I guess we'll start with Willie. Question 1, would you rather be sunburned for the rest of your life or never see the sun again?
How sunburn are we talking? Like really sunburn?
Sunburn that you get at the beach.
I mean, I've had some pretty aggressive sunburns, so I'm gonna go never see the sun again.
Ben?
I'm gonna have to agree with Willie. Living up in Seattle, already pretty used to not seeing the sun too often, so I think we could live with it.
Alrighty, question 2. Would you rather hit 4 home runs in a game and never hit another home run for the rest of the season, or hit 15 home runs in a year?
15 home runs in a year, easy.
I agree, 15 home runs.
Alrighty, you guys are in the 9th inning, Game 3 of the College World Series, up 3-2 in the bottom of the 9th. You guys have to make a substitution. Would you rather have Willie MacIver pitch or Ben Baird catch?
Willie MacIver pitch for sure.
Ben?
I'm gonna go with Willie MacIver pitch. I've never been behind the dish. Willie's got a good arm. I trust him on the mound.
You guys certainly both love your Walla Walla Sweets gear. So would you rather only be able to wear Walla Walla Sweets gear for the rest of your life or never be able to wear it again?
Never be able to wear it again.
Ben?
They did give us some nice stuff, but I'm gonna go never be able to wear it again.
All right, and the final question for these two. Would you rather have your name be Willie Baird or Ben MacIver?
Ben MacIver, Willie Baird. I'm gonna go. Oh man, that's a tough one. Willie Baird, Ben MacIver.
Not an SAT question, Willie.
I'm gonna go Willie Baird. I like that.
Ben?
I like Ben MacIver. I think I could get some pretty cool nicknames out of that one.
Well, that's Ben Baird. That's Willie MacIver, a pair of Washington Huskies making their name out here on the Cape, playing for the Gatemen. This has been a little edition of Would You Rather. Back to you guys.
Now, we've seen a lot of different rotations from the Gatemen overall this season. One of those has been with the catching position. We saw Blake Sable have his debut there. So what do you think about the catching situation for them?
Yeah, I liked Blake Sable and his debut catching versus Bourne. He did really well with Miller Hogan. Obviously, Miller Hogan had another good start with the 5 strikeouts. He called a great game. Didn't really have any issues with pass balls or wild pitches or anything like that. The only thing I would say is that when Tanner Dotson was struggling, he let up 2 earned runs. He was just working, that was the first time that Sable's had to work with a guy that's been struggling this season behind the plate. So that's good, I think, for chemistry purposes. I think that was good to see. It wasn't good to see Tanner Dotson struggle, but it was good to see them kind of fight through it and work together, basically.
Yeah, for some Pac-12 rivals as well.
Exactly.
Dotson out of California and Sable out of USC. So pretty cool to see those guys, teaming up, pitcher-catcher. I really like what I've seen from both Willie MacIver and Jake Anchia as well so far this season. MacIver defensively has been pretty sound, especially blocking pitches in the dirt, and she has gotten a lot better at blocking pitches in the dirt as the season's gone on. I still see, sometimes he struggles occasionally with certain pitches that curve away towards the towards his right, and sometimes he misses those out on the outside part of the plate if there's a right-handed batter. So he's still improving though, and he's done a lot. He's done a really good job the whole season out of Nova Southeastern, and in all three of these guys, they add hitting into the lineup as well when you put him in there. MacIver's been in the lineup every single game, whether he be at catcher, first base, third base, DH. And Shia, when he's in the lineup, he's always ready to make a statement. He's hit 2 home runs this season, and he's been really good. Hitting consistently, and that's all you can ask for. Blake Sable's recently started to pick it up against Bourne. He had 2 singles and also 2 stolen bases. So the speed, the most we always talk about this.
Yeah, we do.
But it's the most underrated speed in the team, Blake Sable, I think, and not underrated anymore, I guess, because you talked about it so much. But
put it on notice. He can steal bases.
Yes.
Had 26 at USC.
Yes. So Blake Sable. Willie MacIver, Jake Anshia locking down the catching position, doing a really nice job calling pitches.
Yeah, I agree. It's a lot to see coming up. So, like we said, halfway through the season, a lot of baseball still to go. So, what do we want to see over these next few weeks?
Well, we're going to see on Wednesday, we're going to see Bourne, and Thursday, we're going to see Katuitt again. So, Western Division opponents are coming into play again. Bourne is, we've played Bourne already 3 times, but it's going to be a fight to the death, really, at Doran Park, and then versus Katuitt back at Spillane Field. It's those division rivals are going to get you, and you could see, we were talking off air again, you could see Katuitt or Bourne in those playoffs in the first round. So.
Oh, absolutely. At this point, it looks like it's going to be one of Bourne, Katuitt, or Falmouth, and the Gatemen can sneak into the playoffs, and that will be the first round matchup. You can't count Hyannis out. There's still a long season left. The Gatemen still do have 2 more games against the Harbor Hawks coming up later, but these division matchups against Bourne and Katuitt, very big. You've seen Bourne struggling at the plate a little bit the last few times they played the Gatemen. Katuitt as well. They've just, that last game against the Gatemen last week, they won 2-0 at Spillane because Zane Collins decided to throw 117 pitches and was unbelievable. That was a ridiculous performance. I feel like ridiculous is
complete game.
A complete game in the Cape League. Coach Maxwell said he's never seen that before in his 12 seasons here. He said he has to be going home, I guess, because there's no way that he was. We'll speculate, but he's 100. It was just a crazy performance. His breaking ball was fooling hitters. So if the Gatemen can avoid, and they held Katuitt to 2 runs that game. So if the Gatemen can avoid getting shut down from the pitching staff like that against these teams like Katuitt and Bourne, I think they have the hitting advantage against these clubs. So. Against these division teams, it's going to be pretty close coming down the stretch, and you still see Bourne 3 more times this season. You still see Katuitt 4 more times, I believe. So, lot of division games to go. It's going to be pretty fun to watch.
And then you got to take care of Friday. You're going to be at Harwich. Take care of the teams that are lower in their division. Obviously, Harwich is in the latter part of the Eastern Division. So you got to take care of those teams if you want to continue to move towards, stay at 500 and move over 500 going on to the playoffs.
But Harwich is once again another team that has a really good pitching staff, and if the Gatemen can mount some hits off that pitching staff, I think the pitching will do the rest for the Gatemen in shutting down a Harwich lineup that's really struggled so far this year.
Yeah, and they won 9-0 last time at Harwich, so maybe we'll see that again.
Maybe. So that wraps things up for us this week on Around the Horn. Be sure to keep up with all the Gatemen action on social media and follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, SoundCloud, and YouTube. For Jacob Tobey and Sam Corman, I'm Claudia Chakamian. Thank you for watching.